Welcome back everyone. Today's video starts with something very small, something most people overlook every single day. A simple coin. Quiet, ordinary, and often forgotten. But as you'll see by the end of this video, this tiny piece of metal carries a story that reaches far beyond its size. The first coin of today's video is the 1974 United States 1-cent penny. At first glance, there is nothing flashy about this coin. It doesn't shine like gold, it isn't large or heavy, and it doesn't immediately signal importance. In fact, many people have held this exact coin in their hands without giving it a second thought. It has sat in cash drawers, rolled through vending machines, and rested at the bottom of jars filled with loose change. Yet this particular penny represents a fascinating moment in U.S. history and has become one of the most talked about modern Lincoln cents among collectors. To understand why, we need to step back to the year 1974. The United States was going through a period of economic pressure. Inflation was noticeable in everyday life, prices were rising, and the cost of producing coins was becoming a serious concern for the U.S. Mint. Even something as small as a penny was no longer cheap to make. Copper prices were increasing, and the government was quietly searching for ways to keep coins affordable while maintaining quality and public trust. Despite these challenges, the Mint continued producing cents in enormous quantities. The Denver Mint, marked by the small d beneath the date, played a major role that year. Billions of pennies were struck in Denver alone, all intended for everyday use. The goal was efficiency and speed, not perfection. These coins were made to move quickly into circulation, not to be carefully preserved. The design of the 1974 penny follows the familiar Lincoln cent style that Americans had known for decades. On the front, Abraham Lincoln faces to the right, his portrait calm and steady. Above him are the words, "In God We Trust," with "Liberty" placed to the left and the date to the right. Beneath the date sits the small D mint mark, identifying Denver as the place of production. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial stands centered and balanced. If you look closely, you can even see Lincoln's statue inside the memorial, a detail many people never notice. This design had been in use since 1959 and symbolized stability and continuity during a time when many things in the country felt uncertain. The metal composition of the 1974 penny is another important part of its story. It was made primarily of copper, about 95%, with the remaining portion made up of zinc and a small amount of tin. This gave the coin its familiar weight and color. However, behind the scenes, the Mint was already questioning how long this composition could last. The rising cost of copper meant that change was coming, even if the public didn't realize it yet. Most 1974 pennies lived ordinary lives. They were used, spent, and worn down by constant handling. Edges softened, surfaces picked up marks, and original shine slowly faded. This is why finding one today is easy, but finding one in outstanding condition is not. This is where collector interest begins to grow. In coin collecting, condition matters more than most people expect. A coin that looks average to the untrained eye may be very different from one that has sharp details, clean surfaces, and original mint luster. For modern pennies like the 1974 truly high-quality examples are surprisingly scarce. The reason is simple. These coins were not treated as special when they were made. They were stacked in large bins, transported in bulk, and released into circulation without protective handling. Every step increased the chance of small marks and flaws. Over time, only a tiny fraction avoided this damage. Because of this, collectors focus heavily on overall preservation and balance. Coins that appear clean, evenly struck, and untouched immediately stand apart from typical examples found in circulation. Over the years, professional grading services have played a major role in identifying the very best examples. These services evaluate coins under strict standards and assign a grade that reflects overall quality. For a 1974 penny to receive an extremely high grade, it must show exceptional preservation, something very few have achieved. As interest in modern U.S. coins has grown, collectors have started paying closer attention to pennies that were once ignored. The idea that a common date coin could become valuable has changed how people look at their collections. Suddenly, the focus is not just on age, but on condition, survival, and rarity at the top level. This is why the 1974 D penny has become such an interesting topic. It represents the contrast between mass production and individual survival. It shows how something produced in huge numbers can still become special decades later. And it reminds us that value is often created by time, care, and chance. And now we come to the part that always surprises people. While most 1974 D pennies are worth only their face value, and even nice circulated examples are still very affordable, the finest known specimens tell a very different story. When a 1974 D 1-cent coin survives in nearly perfect condition, verified and graded at the highest level, its value increases far beyond what anyone would expect from a penny. In fact, the most exceptional example of the 1974 D United States 1-cent coin has reached a recorded value of up to $81,000. All of that value, held in a single cent. Next up, we move to a coin that comes from a very different moment in time, yet carries its own quiet importance. This is the 1985 D 1-cent coin, a penny that reflects how U.S. coin production had settled into a fast, efficient rhythm during the mid-1980s, when consistency mattered more than perfection. By 1985, the Denver Mint was no longer adjusting to major transitions. Systems were established, production targets were clear, and cents were being struck in massive numbers to keep up with daily circulation needs. The focus was speed and volume. Coins moved quickly from presses to storage and then out into the public. Because of this, the 1985 D penny was never intended to be carefully preserved, and that reality shaped its future as a collectible. Most examples entered circulation almost immediately. Contact between coins during production and transport was unavoidable. As a result, many 1985 D pennies show small marks, light scuffs, or muted surfaces even when they appear barely used. This makes the date especially interesting to collectors, because high-quality survivors are far less common than the production numbers would suggest. One of the defining characteristics of the 1985 D penny is strike quality. Many coins from this year show softness in key areas of the design. Lincoln's hair details often lack full sharpness, and finer elements may appear slightly blended rather than crisp. These issues were not considered problems at the time, but they now play a major role in determining collector value. Surface quality is another major factor. The planchets used during this period sometimes carried minor flaws before striking, such as tiny pits or uneven texture. When combined with rapid production, this resulted in coins that rarely displayed perfectly smooth fields. For collectors, this means that finding an example with clean, balanced surfaces is especially difficult. Color also matters greatly for this issue. Many 1985 D pennies have lost their original brightness over time or show uneven toning. Coins that retain strong, natural color without spots or discoloration stand out immediately. These visual qualities are often what separate an average example from one that draws serious attention. As collectors began paying closer attention to modern coins, the 1985 D penny slowly gained recognition. It became clear that while the coin itself was common, the finest examples were not. Side-by-side comparisons reveal just how dramatic the difference can be. A top-quality coin shows sharper details, smoother surfaces, and a more balanced overall appearance than the vast majority of surviving pieces. Another reason this coin attracts interest is its quiet place in history. The mid-1980s were not a period of major design changes or public debate over coinage. Everything seemed stable. That calm makes it easy to overlook coins from this era, which is exactly why exceptional examples are so compelling today. They survived without anyone realizing they might one day matter. Collectors who specialize in condition rarity often point to the 1985 D as a challenging issue. Not because it is difficult to find, but because it is difficult to find right. Perfection for this date is rare, and that rarity increases demand for the very best coins. Professional evaluation has become essential for identifying these top examples. Coins that meet the highest standards show a combination of strong strike, clean surfaces, an original appearance that is rarely seen for this issue. When all of these elements come together, the result is a coin that represents the very top of its category. Over time, demand for these elite examples has steadily grown. Collectors understand that opportunities to acquire such coins are limited, and that adds to their appeal. The 1985 D penny has become a reminder that rarity is not always about how many were made, but about how many remain in exceptional condition. So while most 1985 D pennies continue to circulate unnoticed or sit quietly in collections, a very small number stand far above the rest. These coins show what is possible when chance, preservation, and quality align. Some collectors spend years searching without ever encountering one of these top examples. Others may see one only once and remember it forever. The difference is visible immediately when placed next to an average coin. Every detail appears more complete and more balanced. There is no single flaw that draws the eye away. Nothing feels rushed or uneven. It looks exactly as it should have looked the day it was struck. That level of survival is what defines its status today. This is where ordinary production meets exceptional outcome. And this is where expectations quietly change. What makes this especially interesting is how unnoticed this coin remained for so long. For years, it blended in with countless others from the same era, carrying no special attention and no public excitement. Its rise in recognition came slowly, driven purely by careful study and comparison. That gradual discovery is part of what makes the 1985 D penny so respected among collectors who value patience and detail over instant appeal. Instead of thinking in cents, collectors begin thinking in milestones. For the very finest known 1985 D 1-cent coin, that milestone has been recorded at $69,000. Moving on to the next coin, we arrive at the 1991 D 1-cent coin, a penny that still appears in everyday change, often slipping unnoticed through hands, pockets, and cash registers. To most people, it is ordinary, something that has been produced by the millions. But for collectors, this particular coin has qualities that make it worth a second glance. Its story is not about age or flashy design, it is about rarity, condition, and the subtle variations that can make a seemingly common coin stand out. By 1991, the Denver Mint was operating with well-established procedures. The production process had become highly efficient, focused on generating a steady supply of coins for circulation. This meant that the 1991 D penny was struck quickly, moved in bulk, and shipped without much concern for individual preservation. Most pennies were intended for everyday use, and very few were ever set aside in pristine condition. This efficiency is part of why truly exceptional examples are so scarce today. Despite the large numbers minted, the 1991 D penny is not as ordinary as it might first appear. Circulation quickly affects the surfaces of these coins, and many examples show contact marks, light scratches, or dulled fields even after minimal handling. Coins that remain clean, with well-defined details, are unusual and immediately noticeable to experienced collectors. This rarity of preserved condition is one reason the coin has captured attention among enthusiasts. Strike quality is another important factor. Some 1991 D pennies exhibit softness in the finer details, especially in Lincoln's hair and other intricate design elements. Coins that display a strong, fully struck design stand out significantly. When a 1991 D penny retains sharp detail across the entire design, it demonstrates that it was struck under ideal conditions, something relatively rare for coins from this era. Surface quality also plays a key role. Many coins from 1991 show minor planchet imperfections, faint lines, or small irregularities in the fields. Even a seemingly perfect coin may reveal tiny surface inconsistencies when examined closely. A coin with smooth, uninterrupted surfaces and balanced details is unusual, and those that meet this standard are immediately recognized as top tier by collectors. What truly elevates the 1991 D penny, however, is the possibility of minting errors. Some coins from this year display striking irregularities, such as off-center strikes, doubling of letters or numbers, or unusual characteristics in the planchet itself. These errors are not intentional, they are the result of brief moments when the minting process did not operate perfectly. While subtle, such features can dramatically increase collector interest. Many of these errors are easy to miss. A slight doubling in the date or lettering, a minor alignment issue, or a faint mark on the surface may only be visible under magnification. Because of this, careful inspection is essential. A coin that seems ordinary at first glance might reveal a rare and collectible trait with just a bit of attention. Survival rate further contributes to the coin's appeal. While millions of 1991 pennies were made, only a fraction have avoided heavy handling and circulation. Coins that remain in exceptional condition, crisp, well-centered, and with undisturbed surfaces, are increasingly hard to find. This scarcity of high-quality examples adds a layer of desirability. The 1991 penny also highlights a broader lesson for collectors: modern coins are not automatically mundane. Even dates that appear recent can contain rarities and condition-sensitive examples. For this reason, modern coins like this one deserve careful observation. Age alone does not determine a coin's significance. Factors like condition, rarity, and errors are equally important. Collectors who specialize in modern cents often stress patience and careful study. They know that the 1991 penny is a coin that rewards meticulous attention. Not every coin will be remarkable, but the possibility of discovering a high-quality example or an unusual error makes searching worthwhile. It is precisely this uncertainty and potential that makes this coin appealing. Examining a 1991 penny properly requires slowing down. Look closely at the lettering and numbers, inspect Lincoln's hair and other fine details, and check the overall alignment of the design. Observe the surfaces carefully, using magnification if possible, and note any unexpected marks or irregularities. Even small differences can indicate a coin that is worth saving rather than spending. It is also a coin that teaches a subtle but important lesson about observation. Many of the most interesting coins are hidden in plain sight, passing unnoticed through everyday life. The 1991 penny reminds collectors that value is often found in details, in condition, and in features that most people overlook. Ultimately, this coin is a reminder to slow down and examine each piece carefully. Its rarity, the potential for minting errors, and the scarcity of well-preserved examples all contribute to its importance. A 1991 penny may look ordinary, but in the right condition, with the right characteristics, it could be far more significant than anyone expects. Before spending or discarding a 1991 penny, it is worth pausing to inspect it closely. Take the time to examine details, surfaces, and edges. Look for anything that stands out from the ordinary. With coins like this, a careful eye can uncover surprises that casual inspection would miss. Because sometimes, the coins we take for granted can turn out to be the ones worth noticing most. Now let's move on to a coin that stands apart from ordinary circulation, a coin that at first glance might look familiar but holds a story few have noticed. This is the 2001 1-cent coin, but unlike the millions of regular pennies struck that year, this particular coin is an error variety, a rare mishap that has made it highly sought after by collectors. While it began as a standard piece of change, a subtle mistake during production transformed it into something far more valuable. The Denver Mint produced millions of pennies in 2001. Most coins were struck with precision, designed to meet the high demand of daily circulation. The minting process by this point was well established, reliable, and efficient. But even in such a tightly controlled environment, occasional errors occurred. A slightly misaligned die, a planchet flaw, or an unexpected doubling of design elements could produce a coin that was different from the rest, and these differences, once discovered, quickly became the reason collectors pay attention. What makes the 2001 era penny especially compelling is its scarcity. While ordinary 2001 pennies are abundant and easy to find in change, error coins from this year are extremely rare. Only a very small number of these errors survived in collectible condition. Many coins that left the mint with mistakes were eventually lost to circulation, worn down, or overlooked because the anomalies were subtle. That means the coins that remain intact are precious in the collector world. Condition is one of the most important factors for this coin. Even a minor scratch or slight surface wear can obscure the error, diminishing its significance. Coins that retain crisp details, fully preserved design elements, and clean surfaces are considered the most desirable. For collectors, finding a 2001 D-era penny in pristine condition is like discovering a hidden gem among millions of ordinary coins. It's this combination of rarity and condition that makes the coin so compelling. The type of error itself adds to the coin's intrigue. Some 2001 D pennies display off-center strikes, subtle doubling in the date or lettering, or anomalies in the planchet. These variations are the result of brief irregularities during the minting process, and each one tells a story. No two error coins are exactly alike, which makes each example a unique piece of numismatic history. Collectors are drawn to these variations not only for their rarity but also for the insight they provide into the minting process. It's important to note that many of these errors are easy to miss at first glance. A casual observer might dismiss the coin as an ordinary penny. But with careful examination, the anomalies become apparent. Magnification often reveals small but significant details, doubling along the lettering, faint misalignment of the design, or subtle irregularities in the coin's edges or fields. These characteristics, while small, are what make the coin collectible. Another reason collectors prize the 2001 D error is that it illustrates the unpredictable nature of coin collecting. Rarity is not always about age, sometimes, it's about an unintentional detail that distinguishes a coin from millions of others. The fact that this coin comes from a modern era makes it especially interesting because it challenges the perception that only old coins can be valuable. It shows that even relatively recent pennies can hold surprises if you know what to look for. Collectors also appreciate the story behind error coins. They are not just pieces of metal, they are snapshots of a moment in the minting process when something unusual occurred. Each coin carries that story, preserved in its design and condition. The 2001 D-era penny is a perfect example of how a small, accidental deviation can turn a mundane object into something highly desirable. Because of this, the 2001 D-era penny requires careful handling. Experienced collectors often store these coins in protective holders to preserve their condition, recognizing that even minor damage could significantly affect their appeal. It's a coin that rewards patience, attention to detail, and a careful eye. For anyone exploring the world of error coins, it is a reminder that value is often hidden in the smallest features. This coin also reminds us that every penny, no matter how modern, has the potential to tell a story. The rarity and error make it not just a coin, but a piece of history from the mint itself. It encourages collectors to examine even the most ordinary-looking coins carefully. It shows that knowledge and attention can turn everyday change into something extraordinary. And it underscores why the world of coin collecting is full of surprises waiting to be discovered. And now, to give a sense of just how impactful this coin can be, a top-condition 2001 D-era penny has been recorded as selling for $35,000. That's right, what began as an ordinary penny, struck for everyday use, became a remarkable piece for collectors, all because of its rarity, condition, and unique error. This coin serves as a lesson to anyone handling modern change. Sometimes, the most interesting coins are the ones that look most ordinary. A careful eye and a little knowledge can reveal hidden treasures, even in pennies from 2001. In the world of coin collecting, the 2001 D-era penny proves that rarity and condition, combined with the occasional minting mistake, can turn an everyday coin into something truly extraordinary. In the last, we turn our attention to a coin that seems completely ordinary at first glance, yet holds its own quiet intrigue for collectors, the 2014 1-cent coin. It's a modern penny, a piece of change most people see every day without giving it a second thought. But even coins from recent years can carry hidden significance, subtle variations, and opportunities for collectors willing to look closely. This coin reminds us that every penny, no matter how modern, has a story to tell. By 2014, U.S. coin production had reached a remarkable level of precision and efficiency. The Denver and Philadelphia mints were producing millions of coins every year to meet the demands of circulation. At first glance, it might seem that modern coins are too common to have collectible value, but as many collectors know, rarity isn't just about age. It's about condition, subtle differences, and the occasional anomaly that sets a coin apart from millions of others. Millions of 2014 pennies entered circulation immediately. They moved quickly from the mint to banks, cash registers, and coin jars. With such widespread distribution, most were handled frequently, rubbing against other coins, wallets, and surfaces. Over time, this resulted in minor scuffs and marks that can make pristine examples surprisingly rare. Coins that remain uncirculated or in near-perfect condition stand out immediately to collectors. Even in a year as recent as 2014, small variations in the minting process created differences that can set certain coins apart. The pressure of the strike, the exact composition of the planchet, and even minor die wear could influence the final appearance. Some might have sharper detail in Lincoln's portrait or the shield design on the reverse, while others might show faint marks or minor surface irregularities. These small distinctions are exactly what make modern pennies like this one interesting to collectors. Condition alone isn't the only factor that matters. Collectors often examine modern pennies for subtle minting errors or variations. The 2014 penny can exhibit characteristics such as faint doubling on the date or lettering, slight die cracks, or minor planchet imperfections. These features are usually invisible without careful inspection, but they can transform an ordinary-looking coin into a fascinating collectible. Each variation tells a story about the minting process and the exact conditions under which the coin was struck. Modern coins like this one also teach valuable lessons about observation and patience. A casual glance might dismiss a 2014 penny as ordinary, but with a trained eye, unique details start to emerge. Collectors examine coins under magnification, study the tiniest variations in strike, and evaluate the overall balance and quality of the coin. Even a subtle difference can elevate a coin from ordinary to collectible. The 2014 penny also reminds collectors that rarity isn't only about how many coins were minted, but how many remain in exceptional condition. Millions of these coins were produced, but few survive untouched in collections. High-quality, uncirculated examples are becoming increasingly rare as time passes, which adds an element of long-term interest for those who appreciate modern coinage. Collectors often emphasize the importance of study and comparison when it comes to modern pennies. By comparing different coins from the same year, they can spot subtle differences that would go unnoticed otherwise. For the 2014 penny, this might mean examining the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, the clarity of the shield's lines, or tiny differences in the lettering. These details are what separate ordinary coins from the ones that draw serious attention in the collector community. The story of the 2014 penny highlights the balance between commonness and individuality. Millions were produced, yet each coin is subtly different depending on production conditions. For collectors, these subtle differences create endless opportunities for study, appreciation, and even discovery of unusual characteristics that might make a coin more desirable. Even without a historical age or dramatic minting error, the 2014 penny serves as a lesson in the fundamentals of collecting. It encourages careful handling, magnified inspection, and a patient approach to noticing details. Each coin is a small snapshot of the minting process, reflecting precision, quality control, and the occasional anomaly that makes it unique. Ultimately, the 2014 penny demonstrates that the hobby of coin collecting is not just about the past. It's about learning to observe, recognize quality, and appreciate the smallest distinctions in coins from any era. For modern pennies, the challenge is finding those that stand out in a sea of otherwise ordinary coins. For collectors, the 2014 penny is both a lesson and an opportunity. It shows that rarity and interest can exist in coins that many might dismiss, and that every coin, no matter how modern, can be worth examining carefully. By studying the details, understanding production nuances, and appreciating condition, collectors can uncover hidden stories in even the newest pennies. Even in a modern era where coins are mass-produced and familiar, the 2014 penny proves that attention to detail and knowledge can turn everyday coins into items of interest. It encourages collectors to slow down, study carefully, and appreciate the nuances that make each coin unique. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey through some of the most interesting pennies in U.S. history. If you enjoyed learning about these coins and discovering the stories behind them, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our future coin discoveries and collectibles deep dives.